Hello and welcome to Pulse on American Desi, where we talk about the world of the arts. I'm Sreenath Sreenivasan, co-founder of SAJA, the South Asian Journalists Association. My first guest today is going to be talking about the world of culinary arts. Yes, he's a chef. Please welcome Vikas Khanna to our show. Vikas, thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
And I got to tell our audience you're the first chef on my show, and so it's an honor to have you on here.
It's my honor.
And we should first talk about this wonderful outfit you're wearing. I know your mom had some influence on this, didn't she?
Yes, she forced me to wear this. She said, cooking is what you do and this is what you are.
That's so interesting. You wanted to wear a chef's jacket.
I wanted to wear just a simple chef's jacket. Yeah.
Right.
So she said no.
So she said, cooking is what you do, but being Indian is what you are.
This is what you are.
Oh, that's brilliant. And she's in our audience here watching.
She's in
the studio watching. And,
yes.
and you told me that she's been supportive your whole life of...
Throughout my life.
Because let's face it, not a lot of moms say, gee, I want my son to be a chef, right? So how did that happen? Tell us about that.
We had a lot of issues in the family that a boy should not cook, and because I was a kid, I was so obsessed with what was happening on the ranges and the flavors and everything. But my grandmom was a very good cook. My mom was the generation, she was more into, she's the flying pilot, and she's extremely talented in a sense, so she's a very big socialite. But she supported me, you do what you love to do.
And where was this? Where did you grow up?
Amritsar.
In Amritsar. So you were born in Amritsar.
Born and brought up.
And how does someone end up in New York as a chef? You've been a chef at a major restaurant, Salam Bombay, and now you give your own cooking classes, and we'll talk about all of this. But tell us about your journey. How did you start in Amritsar, learning to cook from your grandmom and your mom, and now you're a chef? How did that happen?
When I was very young, I started cooking my own recipes, and I thought food has to be more creative. And as I grew up, I started to understand that it's a major art. And then some people would request me to cook in their places. My parents were not very proud of it initially. But I would start doing small caterings for them, and all
this
the guests.
All in Amritsar.
All in Amritsar.
And you were in what grade were you in when this started?
I was in the 5th grade.
5th grade, you were doing
creating my own recipes and everything.
Oh my goodness!
And at some point of time, I felt that I must learn this professionally. And I started looking into major colleges.
So, but in high school, so you were finishing high school, and you decided that you would try to do catering or some kind of.
It was a secret for the rest of the family because they always thought that I'm going to be an engineer or an architect, because I was a very major artist in the family.
Okay. But
I went to Delhi, and secretly I got my interviews done, and I got selected in Manipal, which was very hard to get selected. We had 26,000 applicants, and they were selecting 60 students.
Some kind of hotel school or something?
It's a hotel school. It's backed up by Sheraton Group of Hotels. It's owned by Welcome Group, which is a major hotel chain in Asia. I got selected there. And
so they thought you were going to go study engineering in Delhi? Is that what they... What were you supposed to be doing in Delhi?
Engineer.
Okay, so did you get admission in an engineering school?
Not yet.
Okay.
Because it all happens at very random, after +2, you have to apply for all the major professional colleges. But what happened was good was that, I had already started a small catering business with the help of my mom. And we had a huge space on Lawrence Road, which is a very posh colony of Amritsar. And we had already started small caterings.
So you do like birthday parties?
Birthday parties and major, women.
Ladies Sangeet.
And ladies kitty parties.
Ladies kitty parties.
You see, all the Punjabi women are really obsessed with kitty parties. Breakfast kitty parties, lunch, tea, dinner kitty parties. So we started doing...
We should, for people who may not know, just 10 seconds, what is a kitty party?
Kitty party is all the women who want to bitch around about the family and they need a space.
So they sit around and gossip?
They sit around and gossip.
And the name comes from the kitty, right? They all put money in, and one person gets to go home with all the money.
All the
like
cash.
the same, they're like a pool of money, right?
Yes, it's a pool of money.
It's like,
it's not a Western culture, because women don't have much time. But here, women get together and they eat, and the one who wins the whole lotto, and it's not lotto actually, because they have to keep putting money every month. Everyone who wins the draw, he has to treat everyone. That woman has to treat everyone. So it used to be fun for me, because it was fun because they would try to involve me in the parties, and they would all play this small game which is called housey.
Yeah, but it's bingo.
Bingo,
right?
In America.
So anyway, so you were doing these catering, you're catering small things, and you said that helped you get into
it helped me get into the college, because for my final interview, the main question was, how far you think your career is going to go.
So what did you say? Chef in New York? What did you
So
say?
now I had not dreamt of being a chef in New York.
Uh-huh.
This was just a major dream for everyone.
Right.
But I said, you know, I've already started my catering business, and thought, what's your age? And I said, you know, I started very young, and we had the huge space.
Like 11 years old or something.
Yeah, I was 17 when the whole catering was really set up with with major chefs and everyone working for me. But it was a mom who was the backbone of the whole system, because she felt that, you know, education is the most integral part of growth. If your foundation is weak, you know, it will be very hard for you to grow up. And she was right.
So you said all this in an interview.
I said in all this interview.
For this Manipal School of Catering. What is it called? School of Hotels, right?
Welcome Group Graduate School of Hotel Administration.
Okay.
But the best part of getting selected was that, you know, they saw that, you know, I was the first person from Amritsar. Most of the people who get selected, they're from all the major cities because they are more fluent in English, and, you know, they're smarter in many senses.
No, worldly wise. I wouldn't say smarter.
Worldly wise, they're more exposure.
Yeah, sure.
They're more exposure. They can reply. They're more spontaneous. But my principal kept insisting, you know, that guy has something. You know, we must give him a chance.
Okay. So you went to Manipal.
I went to Manipal.
In the south. You went.
Yeah, I graduated there, and that's how I really got very attached to the south of India. Because people in the north generally they're very, you know, they don't travel south, or, you know, they stay in their own communities in the States.
Bombay is south for them, right? Goa
Bombay
is
too south. Even some people say, oh, Delhi's too far.
Okay. So let's finish the story. So and then you graduated, and then what happened?
While I was graduating, I was getting a lot of offers, because, you know, being an artist and being in the food industry and creating all these things, and I never got back home in that sense of even if I would get 1 week off from the school, I'll be training in some hotels. I traveled all over Asia for that. I traveled to Kathmandu, I was training there. I worked with all the major hotel chains, Taj, Oberoi's, Welcome Group, Sheraton's, Kempinski's. And this was all during my studying. But when I graduated, I had great offers for job, but I wanted to stay in Bombay because my brother was working for Larsen & Toubro. So he said, you know, you must come to Bombay because it's a very major exposure. Because initially when I was in Bombay for my training with Welcome Group Sea Rock Hotel, there were riots, and I was stuck inside the hotel for 30 days.
This is the 92 riots?
92 riots. I was in Bombay on like...
So you're stuck in the hotel?
In the hotel, because they would not let the employees leave. Because the hotel was packed, and, you know, they had to feed all the guests in the hotel. And if they let us leave, like, new employees would not be able to access to the hotel. So they all literally...
kind of like hostages?
Prisoned. We were hostages. But that was a major experience because, you know, I was dealing with just the room service, cooking for the room service. But because we had few chefs and everyone was given proper breaks and everything, so I started indulging in all the major kitchen operations. That was like a great benefit.
It was like good extra education.
Extra education, but the hotel closed and I was very upset. And it was a major story for me that, you know, I was hostage. I really suffered from those riots, but I really gained a lot from those riots. Because you really perform the best, and you actually know about your passions when you're in that kind of state.
Sure, the pressure, right?
Under that pressure and
everything. So, and then what happened?
And then I graduated, I started working for Leela Kempinski's.
Which is a big hotel, very successful hotel.
It's like, they call it the 7-star according to Indian standards and everything. It's right next to the Bombay International Airport. A lot of international clientele. I started working there, but, you know, my thing was that, you know, my banquets, I wanted to go back to them, but I think I was ready.
Okay.
I went back to my banquets, and that my mother was just, you know, keeping them well according to whatever standards she had.
So you went back to Amritsar?
I went back to Amritsar, and I was working for my banquets.
And your mom was carrying on the service. What was it called?
5 years, Lawrence Gardens.
Okay.
For 5 years, I was there, and at some point, it became one of the most influential banquets in North India.
So it's like a catering service, right?
It's like catering service. People would change the dates of their weddings, their birthdays.
To get this?
Just to get the space in.
Okay. So you had your own place, or?
I had my own space, but I started expanding. My parents and, you know, we decided we need to grow up because.
So you invested money and.
But the money, the cash flow was phenomenal.
All right. Well, that's a great moment in which we're going to take a break, and we're going to hear more about the story of Vikas Khanna. And he's also going to tell us about some of his favorite recipes and what he thinks about New York food and New York cooking. Please stay tuned.